Hello, beautiful beings. Mem from Mystic Pathways here. Been a while since I've been on and recorded, but we're up to Module 2 of A Spirited Life. And Module 2 is all about getting real. And we're up to Chapter 6, which is the magic aspect of Module 2, Engineering Beauty. And this time we're talking about energy and collective consciousness. So only with awareness do you realize you have the power to create, manifest, and change how you perceive the ancient world, our history, the natural world, our environment, the modern world, the society we live in, and how to live within it and utilize its tremendous gifts and empowerment. So only with awareness do you realize you have the power to create, manifest, and change how you perceive, live, and be in this world. And the previous chapter was talking about balance. It was talking about the being and the doing. So in the beingness, this is where we carve out that time to find that awareness and start to embody that awareness. And this is a Nikola Tesla quote: "To understand the true nature of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." There we go. To understand the true nature of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. So that's coming back to only with awareness do you have realize the power to create, manifest, and change, because it's your thoughts, it's your energy that you send out to the universe as an energy, as a frequency, as a vibration. That's what goes into the collective consciousness. What's going to come back at you? So it's really important to be mindful of your energy, your frequency, your vibration. Princeton University and the Institute of Noetic Sciences conduct projects that measure what they call the Global Consciousness Experiment and random number generators. So this is Princeton University. The Global Consciousness Experiment is an international, multidisciplinary project between multiple scientists and engineers. It collects data constantly from a worldwide network of physical random number generators located over the planet. The data is transmitted to a home base, which has now more than 15 years of data stored in it. So I wrote this over 10 years ago, so it would have over 25 years of data now. So it collects data from a worldwide network of physical random number generators located all over the planet. The purpose is to examine subtle correlations that may reflect the presence and activity of consciousness in the world by using random number generators. We hypothesize that there will be structure in what should be random data associated with major global events that engage our minds and hearts. So it's interesting that they use a random number generator that reacts and responds to energy, frequency, vibration. Random number generators, also known as RNGs, are systems created by Princeton researchers that are sensitive to and respond to the intentions of individuals. In other words, the influence of consciousness. They also respond to marked shifts in attentions occurring in the environment. Peaks of order are commonly recorded during moments of shared attention and emotions. Random number generators also responded and had the largest effect ever recorded by the Global Consciousness Project during major world events like 9/11. Other large recordings have occurred on presidential inaugurations, tsunamis, and the death of public figures, namely like Lady Di. These findings stirred deep questions about the nature of consciousness and its connection to our physical material reality. Well, they're just part of the one. They're not separate. They are all part of the one, and I just don't think you can science it. It's beyond our little mental human brains to comprehend the true meaning of the cosmos. How can it be when our minds and even our eyes and everything is limited to being what a human is? So we've got no idea what it's like to be a kangaroo or a cat or a dog, and yet they have greater senses than what we do. Our language and our understanding has all been man-made. And this is how we measure the cosmos, the world and the universe, by our man-made concepts and constructs, and think we know how it all works. Fascinating. So they could measure the world's reactions to Princess Diana's death and 9/11. Measure energy that collectively was powerful enough to register in their experiment, which was the random number generators. It has also been shown that large groups of people all meditating together are able to affect the greater population. And we know this if you've ever been part of it. And even when you meditate in a room with other people, the energy harmonizes and lifts, and people tend to go even deeper, and more. So it's also been shown that large groups of people all meditating together are able to affect the greater population, as we have learned that all is energy, and depending upon its frequency, its vibration, it is energy that can be pulled together. A Russian scientist, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, you can read it in the download, or maybe I can show it to you. Let me see, there it is. That's his name. Oh, no, not in focus. Not in focus. There, I'm not meant to read it. I'm not meant to say it. Sorry about that. So anyway, a Russian scientist, back to that, a professor of physics at St. Petersburg State Technical University, explains how you can influence the world around you with your mind. Well, I think most of us already know that, and I've not experimented with it, but realized even with my own energy that if I'm feeling agitated or if I'm feeling angry, and I can be with other people, I can infect their energy field, and vice versa, especially if you're an empath. We pick up on energies, and we can influence one another. We can, that's the whole thing. It comes back to the principle of mentalism. It comes back to the Noble Eightfold Path of right thought, that we do, not that we can, we do influence the world around us with our mind. It's a whole part of the whole story of being human in this 3D physical reality. According to the superstring theory in physics, waves of vibration flow from everything in the universe. From me, from this rubber, from this piece of wood, which is a fairy eye. I'll just share. I keep underneath my computer. And I've got more fairy eyes behind me. So everything, waves of vibration flow from everything in the universe, affecting the collective consciousness of others. And this is the other thing I think we forget, that we're actually on this planet, whether you're a flat earther or you're not a flat earther, whatever. So many theories out there. Nobody actually really knows the truth. But we are part of something bigger. We're not separate of, we're not contained. We are in this with so many other things going on in the cosmos. We have a sun, we have a moon that we can see. We've got stars in the sky that we can see, and so many other things going on. And there's energy all around us. And it's not just air. And this is where it comes back to our eyes can only see so much. We don't see every plane. We don't see infrared. We don't see ultraviolet. We don't see everything. But we're in it and we're a part of it. So our mind does influence the world around us. So in groups, and when you get more people together, it can enliven the field, especially when you say you're doing prayers and you're all focusing on the same thing and you're sending that energy out to the universe, it is going to have an impact somewhere, someday, and come back. Group meditation can be similar to a tug of war. You're all pulling on the same side. So a certain synergy of energy is created and a common goal is achieved. It is the same when you meditate together, the collective consciousness raises. And it acts like the rising tide that raises all boats. The peace that is created actually becomes palpable, which is a special collective experience and accomplishment. And that reminds me, I saw, I can't remember the name of them, but the instruments that they use to measure time, especially when you're learning piano and it's got the tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. They had 6 of them in a row and they're all doing all different timings and they're all doing their own thing. But after a while, they all harmonized. And I think I've also seen it with the ball bearing on strings experiments. They all harmonize after a certain time. And that got me to thinking about humans and the collective consciousness, but also the range of humans. Because for every saint, there's a sinner and all the varying people in between. It's the universe of polarity, universal principle of polarity is hot, cold, light, dark, on, off, saint, sinner. Humans are no different. We're part of it, prey, predator. And so for every saint and sinner across this board, that if we all learnt to harmonise ourselves, not try and impose on them to raise their vibrations because they can't. They're born a unique, specific way and they're wired in a specific way with their own unique frequency and vibration, that if they harmonise that, we harmonised ourselves, we all harmonise, then the collective consciousness has a much better, or will have the opportunity to harmonise, and then maybe we'll be able to shift timelines. But while we're at war at ourselves and war with each other and we'll just war at large, we're not harmonised, it's never going to find harmony. We're always going to be at polars and pointing fingers and blaming. And it's a matter of harmonising yourself, because that's all you can do. We can't harmonise somebody else. No matter how good a healer you think you are or how good a therapist you think you are, you cannot permanently, not even with NLP and hypnotherapy, and I really don't encourage those, letting other people into your mind and planting words and thoughts can be a very dangerous game, and they use a lot of that in marketing. But I do digress. So harmonizing yourself is, we can't harmonize another person. It's impossible to. We're not privy to that inner world that makes them and what makes you, that essence that is you. We can't escape from the fact that we are individuals. We just are. It's as simple as it is looking at one another and looking outside and seeing the kangaroos. We are individuals, but we are all connected. But we do have our own interior private worlds. We do have our own soul lessons that we're here to learn. And we do have our own higher self that's guiding this experience for ourselves. So we are individuated, but we are definitely part of this whole experience called life on many levels and different dimensions and timelines. So we are connected, but we are individuated. So in addition to our immediate consciousness, which is of a thoroughly personal nature, which is what I was just talking about, there exists a second psychic system of a collective, universal, and impersonal nature, which is identical in all individuals, and that was Carl Jung. So in addition to our immediate consciousness, which is of a thoroughly personal nature, that makes what you and me, there exists a second psychic system of a collective, universal, impersonal nature, which is identical in all individuals. It's just amazing just how life actually works, and how the cosmos work, and how thoughts work, and how our experiences work. It's really quite remarkable when you think about it. The immediate consciousness, our minds, consists of thoughts and feelings. It is definitely an energy system, albeit an even subtler one than physical energy. Our immediate consciousness is energy that is conditioned and can be directed by human will. So with our physical bodies, and when I pinch myself, I can feel that and it hurts. Our emotions are a different ball game altogether. You can't touch an emotion. So it exists in an unseen world. And it's the same with our thoughts. You can't touch your thoughts. And yet we hear them, we can write them down, we can speak them, but we can't touch them. They exist in an unseen world. So it's an energy system. However, because we are made up of more than just our immediate consciousness, we are also made up of our second psychic system. This does leave us open to collective consciousness and vulnerable to influence and or manipulation from the energy of that immediate consciousness. And this is where we've got to be really mindful of knowing who we are, knowing yourself, and taking the time to know what your morals, your ethics, your principles are, what your boundaries are, because we can be influenced and we can be taken away from our center by those that may not be benevolent. They may have nefarious means and intentions, and they may not have our best interests at heart. How can they? That's a personal responsibility. Your interests of heart are your responsibility, not somebody else's. So the way you think, the way you feel, the way you live, affects every other human on this planet. It just does. So your energy, your frequency goes out and it feeds into the collective energy. And we should be taking responsibility of what energy am I feeding into the collective? Am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution? Am I helping myself? So by helping myself to heal and grow and mature and evolve, then I'm helping the collective to do the same. It's not about raising your frequency. It's not raising your vibration. It's about harmonizing yourself, finding that harmony, because then the collective has a much better way of harmonizing. Because, when we try and raise our consciousness and our vibration, well, we can raise our consciousness, but it doesn't necessarily mean your vibration is going to change. Your frequency is going to change, but your consciousness certainly needs to. That's for sure. Remember, not everyone on this planet is conscious, living in awareness and holding a frequency of unconditional love. Comes back to, for every saint, there is a sinner. So not everybody is going to have the collective consciousness best interests at heart. Not everybody's going to care about everybody else. And this is part of human nature. It's just part of the way how we live. So there's that discernment, that need to come back into your own self, know yourself, so you know your ethics, your morals and your principles and your boundaries. So you can let other people be who they are, hoping and praying that they are doing the same, harmonizing themselves, because it's going to affect the whole collective. You can actually assist yourself to not be affected by the collective consciousness in a negative way. With awareness, healing, embodying a healthy body and reconnecting back into your own essence, your own spirit, and through meditation, you can harmonize your frequency and vibration above the din. You can raise yourself above the din that's going on. And I had this visual. So this is the collective all under here, and it's like we're under this blanket, this line. And it's like the anomalies, the oracles, the neurodivergent people raise up and they break this pattern, this din that we're living in, and we change. So different patterns can be created, different thoughts can come in. So to me, it's like the expanded consciousness is above here. And this is the collective consciousness and the unconscious underneath here. But how do we break through this barrier to draw down this expanded universal consciousness so that we can help harmonize ourselves and the collective even better? So thoughts and feelings of a higher frequency, peace, love, forgiveness, truth, acceptance, empathy, compassion, have so much more power than lower frequency feelings. And by harmonizing your frequency to tap into the expanded universal consciousness and include these powerful energies, we are able to not only heal and assist ourselves, but the world as well. be the change you wish to see in the world. That was one of my promises to myself, and I didn't realize how many rabbit holes that was going to take me down. So the collective consciousness and unconscious is limiting in its definition and concept unless we can do our bit to help heal it and raise its frequency even higher. So the collective consciousness, unconscious, is limiting in its definition and concept unless we can do our bit to help heal it and raise its frequency even higher. We are not just a product of our ancestors or past lives. We're not limited to the collective consciousness and the archetypes therein held. We are individuals who may be influenced by these energies, but we do have the power within to overcome the limits they impose and evolve to higher states of consciousness if only the effort were put in. So everything changes when you start to emit your own frequency rather than absorbing the frequencies around you. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving an imprint from existence. So I've always felt that is we've been very much conditioned to live externally stimulated instead of being internally driven. It's a complete game changer when you're internally driven and you're living by who you are, what you are, and what harmonizes you, rather than reacting and responding to all this external stimulants. It's going to keep you lost to who you are inside. Excuse me. The contents of the collective unconscious are archetypes. Primordial images that reflect basic patterns that are common to us all and which may have existed universally since the dawn of time. But we're not limited to that. I think it's quite very small-minded to think that that's just all there is. It's time to push beyond and above what we deem as the archetypes, and they're just ways of dumping and labeling certain behaviors and patterns and reactions in people, and it's very unconscious. Whereas if we choose to do things differently, tap more into ourselves and be more harmonizing, we're not going to be, I guess, limited by those archetypes or the unconscious therein. So the energy from our souls make up the collective consciousness. The energy from our souls make up the collective consciousness. However, it doesn't just end there, and that is all there is to experience. We have a spirit that is even a finer vibration than the soul. Our soul is here to evolve. Our spirit is our guide through that evolutionary process. Our souls are subject to lessons, wounding, negative pattern, and fear. Our spirit allows and assists our soul to transcend these earthly experiences. If we are If we are disconnected to our spirit, then our soul may suffer immensely. Reconnecting to our spirit as your true guiding light greatly assists in dropping the ego specialness that sometimes we attach to from our soul's lessons. I'll read that again. If we are disconnected to our spirit and we're lost in our now corrupt, retarded, left-thinking brain, and we're acting on every emotion that we feel, we're going to be disconnected to our spirit. And when we're disconnected from our spirit, we suffer immensely. When we reconnect to our spirit as our true guiding light, it greatly assists in dropping the ego specialness that sometimes we attach to because of our soul's lessons. Because of those lessons we chose to come here and learn and grow from, and because we're very good at amnesia and we forget that that's what we're here doing, we can not rise above them. We may not transcend them. We may not grow through those experiences, and we end up being stuck, and we end up becoming corrupted and living out this repeated pattern, this repeated timeline, instead of pushing beyond our comfort zones, facing our fear and doing something different. In the end, though, we all have free will and choice. And how we get to experience our earthly life, that is part of our free will and choice. And when I use the word experience, I mean we are able to choose what perception, perspective, belief to hold about it, knowing that that is what dictates our interpretation of what we experience. So, you got to take into consideration where some people are born and the worlds and the countries and the nations they're born into. So sometimes we can't change that outward experience, that outward environment, but we still can take hold of our free will and choice of how we interpret that, what we think about that, and how we interface with that. That's our free will and choice. You are free to stay in ego. You're free to choose and stay embodied in your soul's lessons. Of course you are. It's free will and choice. And you are most certainly free to choose to connect to your spirit and live your life accordingly. Staying stuck in ego, for some, is a life lesson and one to be wallowed in. Although staying embodied in your soul's lesson reinforces a closed mindset and reinforces the lower aspects of the collective consciousness. This program, A Spirited Life, that I wrote, it's designed to get you connected to your spirit, the invisible energy that exists in all things, and the transcendental experience of living a spirited life. So with this one, there is also integration and implementation. There's journaling practices, there's reading, and there's also viewing videos to watch. So I'll include those in the comments when I upload the video, so you can check those out, have a read and have a listen, and integrate and implement Module 2, Getting Real. Thank you. Aho, amen, so mote it be.